Okay, so today we are going to be talking about how you craft a good story on social media to increase the visibility of those posts and increase engagement. So I'm Bex from Social Media Executive, and I train businesses how to effectively use social media. And I've got a very special guest here today, Lucy Jackman from Common Sense. Do you want to introduce yourself, Lucy?
Yes, I'm Lucy from Common Sense. I am a copywriter, and that means I write website content, I write blogs, I love writing case studies. I prove things, I edit things, I help people with corporate messaging, and I also write CVs and LinkedIn profiles for people. So it's really, really varied. I absolutely love what I do because no 2 days are the same. I can be writing about completely random subjects on 2 different days. So I help anyone from a small business to a marketing agency who are looking for content writing, and I can put some words onto the white screen of death for you.
Yeah, no, and you are an absolute expert and very, very clever. A very, very clever wordsmith, I'd call you. So today's live stream, I loved Lucy's title actually for today's live stream because it was like, why telling tales aren't just for kids. Or isn't just for kids, if I'm going to use the proper English, but I've just come off holiday from with my kids. So, if you're going to ask for grammar, always go to Lucy, not me. That's definitely not my forte. So again, today's live stream is brought to you by The Social Flock, where you'll see Barbara in the background here. The Social Flock is our social media support group to help busy business owners create consistent content, where we hold lots of content writing sessions every week. We run training, webinar and content planning sessions as well. So again, if you'd like to join the Social Flock, please, I'll pop the link in the chat. We'd love to have you. So Lucy, tell us some tips then. So we're wanting to add stories to our social media.
So I want to start with a challenge for you, Bex. I'm going to make you work today. What was your favourite story as a child? Is there a book you can remember reading or something that really stands out to you?
That's a really, really interesting question, because obviously we didn't have the internet then, did we? So books were the best form of entertainment, really, weren't they? Because let's face it, I think we only had 3 TV channels when I was a child. But I would say the best books that I was absolutely addicted to and read the whole series was definitely The Famous Five.
And what was it about The Famous Five that you can remember, or what did you love most? Was there a character that stood out for you? Or
so for me, it was that going out in the great outdoors, adventuring with your friends, solving puzzles and mysteries, getting the bad guys. But the particular one was one on an island, I think, where they actually got a boat and camped overnight on an island. And it was just that being outside, adventuring and being in the great outdoors that I loved. Yeah.
And I guess that's something that I know that you love, being outside as well. So obviously, it was something that you enjoyed doing and you could see in yourself as well, I guess.
Yeah.
That story. And I think the mystery side of things, that was what I loved as a child as well. So I loved the Nancy Drew detective novels, as a young teenager and probably a little bit before that. For anyone that doesn't know, she was an amateur detective, and her mum died when she was young, and she managed the household and looked after her dad, but she also went out and happened upon these mysteries that she had to solve, and I just found it really inspiring. I was really gripped by it, and I could, it was something that I thought, oh, that'd be so excited to be involved in yourself. And there were other things about a character and a personality that resonated with me. Like, she spoke French, and I loved learning languages as a child. So that really stayed with me, and I'd love to go back to the Nancy Drew novels now and relive those stories.
Yeah, where there's no internet. Yeah.
So I guess the reason why I asked you that question, Bex, is because I guess a lot of people will be listening to our conversation now and recalling their own favourite stories from when they were younger. Everybody will have a book that they enjoyed, or, you know, a lot of kids these days, it's Harry Potter, isn't it, that they enjoyed, and they remember those stories. And I was inspired to ask you that question actually because of a social media post that I read the other day. And it was somebody who on LinkedIn, I think it was, decided to share about 15, 20 facts about themselves to tell people the story about who they are, what they like, you know, what their preferences are. And one of the things they said was that their favourite book as a child was Bramley Hedge. Do you remember that?
I don't think I do remember that. No. Was it? Did it have a hedgehog in it?
I think so. Yeah. It was all kind of woodland creatures.
Yeah.
I can't remember the story.
I remember the Beatrix Potter ones, but I'm not.
But I distinctly remember the Bramley Hedge stories. And I thought, next time I see that person, I'm going to mention it to them. And that was part of her telling her personal story that connected with me and made me think, I'm going to speak to her about that next time I see her. And that's why storytelling works, you know, and it's so powerful. So should we go on to the sciencey bit?
Yes, we love a bit of science because that is my background. I am a scientist by education. So yeah.
So I'll try not to go into too much detail because I am not a scientist. So I don't claim to kind of have done any of this research, but loads of people have done research into storytelling, and it does like really strange and weird and wonderful things to our brains. So the first thing is it gives us a connection with that person telling the story, which is what happened to me in that social media post.
Yeah.
I believe in science terms, it's called neural coupling.
Oh,
there you go. That's a big term for a Monday, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
The second thing it does is it releases that happy hormone, dopamine, you've probably heard of.
Yeah.
When we listen to other people telling stories, it actually makes us feel good, which is great. I mean, why wouldn't you want to give a lift to somebody's day?
Yeah.
The other thing we do is we start to imagine either ourselves within that story, or we start to think about a similar situation that we've been in that relates to that story. So we start to think, oh yeah, I've been there, I've done that, I can remember a time when I did that. And when we hear a story, it does all these wonderful things to our brain, and that's why stories help us to create connections, and that's why they're really, really powerful when you use them in business, when you use them on your social media, because they create they build those emotions with people. So they build trust with our audience. They create empathy, they create understanding. When we read stories, we think, oh yeah, I know that, or I remember a time when we did that, you know. So we're much more likely to remember them as a result. So the recall rates for stories, I remember that person's social media post because she told me a story about her. If somebody shared some facts and figures, there's no way I would remember them. But I'm much more likely to remember somebody's story. So if you incorporate facts into a story, then people will take those away as well, and they're more likely to remember them. And you know, at the end of listening to a story, you're probably more likely to feel happier and, you know, have bounce in your step.
Yeah, I suppose particularly if it's a positive outcome as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So if we read a testimonial, for example, from somebody's client, it not only makes that person and that business feel good, but it makes other people feel good as well. And you think, oh, that's really lovely, and you want to get involved and you want to respond to it. So that's where that emotion comes in. But they, you know, they make us happy, but they can also make us sad as well, and they can make us feel all kinds of different emotions. So you know, they really appeal to us as human beings.
Yeah, and I suppose that works a lot for charities as well when they tell the stories of, you know, some of the challenges of what they're trying to achieve. and then having that lovely positive outcome because of the funding they've received. Actually,
Absolutely.
I think charities are really good at telling those stories, aren't they? But I think businesses sometimes forget that actually they're creating something to make someone's lives better, to improve it, to provide that service, that product.
Yeah.
And we forget about that sometimes as a business, don't we?
We do. We forget that we have stories to tell, and we tend to tell people facts rather than the story behind the facts.
Yeah.
So it's really training your brain to think in a slightly different way about how you're communicating.
Yeah.
The best thing is, though, as human beings, we are programmed to tell stories. We've been doing it for years, gossiping in the streets. There's a scientist, I think, what's his name? Just look at my notes here. Psychologist Robin Dunbar, his name is, when I was doing some research for this.
Yeah.
He found that we spend about 65% of our time when talking to other people, we're telling stories or gossiping, usually about other people.
Okay.
2/3 of the time.
Wow.
So it really does come naturally to us. So it's nothing to be afraid of if you want to incorporate it into your social feeds and your business comms.
Yeah. So go on then. So you talked about how we incorporate it. What are your tips then for really bringing it into our social media content? Because it's easier said than done sometimes, isn't it?
It is, and like I say, it's about thinking slightly differently about the messaging that you want to get out there to people. So, we love gossip, so we're nosy. We like to read what's going on in somebody else's life. So how about a day in the life of, a week in the life of, talk about what you're doing each day of the week and create a diary and share that with people, because I love reading stuff like that. I don't know about you.
Yeah. It's funny, when I first launched my business, I joined this Facebook group and they were like, will somebody this week do a day in the life of? And I was like, a day in the life of what I do is really quite dull, because all I do really is sit at my computer and do, training. But to me, it's quite dull. So anyway, the first post I did was a picture of my leg stepping out of the shower. And then I went to this networking event a week later, and they're like, "Oh, we saw you getting out of the shower the other week."
Well, then, no, brilliant.
So it does work.
Absolutely, it works. So, so diaries, week in the life. So talk about those funny experiences that you have with people. It could be funny, it could be a good experience, it could be bad customer service. I've seen quite a few of those recently. People have posted on social. Those kind of things are really easy for us to relate to, because we've all got a similar experience, and that prompts people to start having a conversation, having a two-way conversation. So we immediately, we emotionally react to it. So we click that like button, or we click the care button, or we laugh at it. We have those reactions. But then the next stage is obviously to get people to comment, and if you've got similar experience, you feel compelled to share it with someone, don't you? So that then starts that engagement and gets your post seen by more people. So they're great things to share.
Yeah.
The other one I was going to mention was how you got to where you are now. So telling the story behind your business, sharing things that people might not know about you, that appeals to our nosy side, because we think, can we learn a bit of juicy gossip about someone? But it also creates that connection because someone might have a similar experience, or have, done something similar in their life or their career, or, felt a similar way to you did at that time. So again, that prompts that conversation with people.
Yeah, and I think it helps build that trust, like you said earlier, doesn't it? Yeah. That sort of connection. You've got to have a connection in order to build trust, haven't you? Yeah.
So some other tips, talk about the lessons that you've learned. So if you had a bad experience with a client, for example, what did you learn from it? And what would you do differently? Nobody likes to fail at anything, but being open and being honest about failure is quite powerful, and telling that story will build respect with other people as well if you feel open to sharing. It's not for everyone, it's not easy, but if there's something you've learned, a lesson in life or in business, then that's a really powerful story to tell.
Yeah, and it is a difficult one, that one, if you sort of admit some of your mistakes. I did one actually, and it was with I think it was with Kirsty James, one of Kirsty James' events at Lim Business Hub, and we just couldn't get the Wi-Fi working. And I had a room full of delegates, and I know some who I still work with now, and so we just had to do a bit of a workaround. But I did put it on LinkedIn, and I just said, yep, it wasn't perfect today, and it got a lot of interactions actually.
Sometimes things don't go to plan, do they? And we all have those experiences that are completely relatable. My favourite one was yours in February, missing the 29th off the planner.
Oh, yes. Yeah, my special days of the year wall planner here, which I do. You know, I have got, you know, someone edit it, an editor just checking it, and then I have my graphic designer, and we all missed the 29th of February because it's a template. We've just obviously used it from last year. But so anyway, everyone who bought it got a little freebie as a result. So hopefully they were happy. And
and again, you know, people will respect you for that, because we all make those little mistakes, don't we? There's always something that gets missed, and it's okay to share those things. So the final things that I want to talk about really are the types of content that I get involved in storytelling for clients. So it's blogs, it's case studies, it's client testimonials, it's telling those customer stories, the successful customer stories that connect with new potential prospective clients. So talking about the services, the products that you deliver to people, how they help people, what a difference it's made to them in their business, and getting a really good golden testimonial from them about recommending you to other people, because the term is social proof, isn't it? And people want to do business with people they can trust. So if they can read a recommendation or a case study or a blog about how you've helped another client in a similar sector to them, then that's more likely to build a stronger level of trust with them, and they're likely to think, okay, they do what I need them to do, and someone else is telling me that they're good at it. So that's really powerful. Again, that's an emotional connection. It's relevant to them. It's going to give them value in their business. So, you know, it probably puts you on their shortlist.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And I believe you are now practicing what you preach as well, aren't you, Lucy?
That's true, yes. So I've officially launched my new website now, which I have posted about on the socials this morning. It's been a long time coming, but it's there to showcase everything that I know about online best practice. It's got case studies on there. It's got all my blogs on there. I'm posting about what I learned during the process of building the website and writing the content for it. So, I'm going to talk about the problems that I encountered, the mistakes that I made, and tell all of those stories, and hopefully help other people. If you want to build your own website like me, then you can do it. I'm not a web developer. I built my own website with a little help from my multi-talented design husband. So he helped me with some of the colours and the fonts and the formatting and everything, and I did the rest, and I'm super proud of it.
Brilliant. And talking about mistakes, I just copied the wrong link in for your website.
Oh, well done.
There you go. I copied it to YouTube. There we go. This is the right link to Lucy's website. There we go. So do visit her website, because it does look good. And I love the photos on there. It makes it really personable. Really connects with you, because and in all your nice brand colours as well.
It is, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure Thank you so much for joining me today, Lucy. And I hope those that you've watching have enjoyed it. Please do give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed watching this video. And if you're watching on catch up, please do put any comments, any questions. What's your favourite children's story? Please do share it in the comments.
Oh,
we
yes,
would
do
love
share.
to know. Yeah, we'd love to know that. And apologies, I don't know if the live stream has actually worked on Facebook today, but anyway, hopefully, fingers crossed, it has. If not, I will download the video and post it onto Facebook as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Lucy. I will be back next week at 12:30 sharing lots more tips and advice on social media. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again, Lucy. Bye.